and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Anna Joran Levine.
Call 1-800-7473. 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WESP Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station. There's nothing better than sports on a Sunday.
The return to glory.
It's time to kick off.
20, he will score!
Tip off.
Way downtown, bang, bang!
Or tee off.
They're going to go nuts when he hits this thing.
On Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo. Presented by Hard Rock Bet.
It is a gloomy Sunday in South Florida. We're at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Colin Russo, Cade Chumsden on ESPN 1063, also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. Got a packed next hour. Got a lot to talk about because for one thing's first is the Knicks are now eliminated. And Game 6 was last night in Indiana. Indiana was able to pull ahead after a dominant second half. It was a good game throughout the first half. And the Knicks sort of fell apart there as it sort of just rolled into a pretty lackluster second half for New York. So they're eliminated, and the NBA Finals matchup is set. Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. And on top of that, the Stanley Cup Final is set. A rematch. The Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. We'll talk about both those series a little bit, and we'll make some picks right here on ESPN 1063. Also presented by our pals over at Hard Rock Bet. Go download the Hard Rock Bet app today on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. Go to hardrock.bet online to get started. Well, think about this. You got golf. You got the French Open. You got NCAA baseball. You got a bunch of regional elimination games today. You got Yankees-Dodgers. You got good baseball all day. You got the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup. You're going to be watching all this stuff. Have more fun with it and sprinkle some action on it. Put a little sprinkle in action. A little is $1. Put together 20-leg parlay, increase your odds, or check out the Discover page and see what other users have put together themselves. And you can tag along with what they're doing if you just like the look of it. That's how easy it is. The interface is so accommodated for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing on a sportsbook, but also for somebody who does know what they're doing on a sportsbook. That's the beauty of Hard Rock Bet. Best part is you get $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. That first bet can be a parlay, prop, over, whatever you like to bet, any game you choose. Win that first bet or get the same amount back as a bonus bet. It's Hard Rock Bet offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager terms, conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888. Admit it. All right, Kate, are you going to be one of those fans that this is a terrible NBA Finals matchup or this is a great NBA Finals matchup? Because I don't think people are in between on this one. Where are you?
This is a phenomenal NBA Finals matchup. You're talking about, how does the phrase go? The immovable object meets
the unstoppable force.
The unstoppable force. That's what I'm feeling like right now. It really feels like the Thunder are a tank rolling towards victory, and the Pacers keep knocking off everybody in their way to get to this point, and it's going to be hard when these two teams collide. You're going to see some blowouts. You're going to see some tight games. You could see an overtime. I expect this game to at least go 6. We'll see where it ends up after that, but you're talking about the Thunder, who just broke a record for point differential in the regular season, and a Pacers team that broke a record for the most 9+ point comebacks in the last final minute. I think I have that stat correctly.
They have three in this playoffs.
So those two teams are about to collide, and I am absolutely stoked for it. You're talking about two cities that aren't too far away from each other, so travel isn't going to really affect these two teams.
And both vying for their first NBA Finals.
The fans are going to go nuts. You saw all the yellow shirts last night. You're going to see the white and blue shirts in Oklahoma City. I know nationally these fan bases aren't huge, but in those arenas, everyone's going to be losing their mind. So from a TV viewing perspective, I'm absolutely stoked.
Yeah, I'm in a position now where I agree with you. I think this has a better chance of being a very good series than it does to be a really bad series. You check on all the gambling outlets, and the Thunder are like a -400 to win the series.
Oh, it's -700.
Now that means all the money's going on the Thunder because that means it's changed that much. -700 to win the series. So not only is there no public confidence or, sportsbook confidence in the Indiana Pacers, but I think that underdog, swept under the rug, fly under the radar mentality is exactly what got them here, because everybody was saying the same thing about the Knicks. They were lining up the Knicks, Eastern Conference Championship t-shirts the second they beat Boston. Indiana is pesky. Is Indiana better than Oklahoma City? Probably not. Could I be surprised and, Oklahoma City runs through them in 5 games? I wouldn't like that, but I could see a world where that happens. But do I think Indiana's got a little bit of magic to the point where they could upset this team? I think I'm there. I don't know if this series will go 7, but I think there's something about this Indiana team where they're not going to be frazzled, and they're very good playing spoiler. The Thunder have a lot of pressure now to close this out. And it's against an opponent where there's no pressure at all.
Nope.
So you got one team that has nothing to lose, everything to gain, and you got another team who's got a lot to gain but everything to lose. The Thunder cannot come up short here. The Pacers, in this sense, they're deep. They're the top scoring offense in the NBA playoffs. They're the top assisted team in the NBA playoffs. They're the most efficient team in the NBA playoffs. It's basically the best offense for the best defense. That's it. That's what this series is. Part of me thinks this favors defense. That's probably where I'd lean if I had to put money, unfortunately. But I do think people are counting the Pacers out. Now, I think this is better for the NBA that it's the Pacers than the Knicks. Yeah, Knicks is a bigger team. I think if the Knicks walked into that series, they'd lose in 4 or 5 games.
Oh, easy.
Easy.
Yes.
They would get shredded because they'd have the thing about Oklahoma City is they have the best perimeter defense I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Anthony Edwards couldn't get anything going because of the perimeter defense. What do you think Jalen Brunson would deal with?
What do you think he dealt with last night?
Right. And they have good perimeter defense. Not the same as OKC.
No.
So because of that, Halliburton doesn't need to score to be good, to be effective. I think that opens something up, the fact that it could be anybody at any given time for the Pacers. It's a little harder to prepare for that. Maybe I'm just selling myself on the vision, but I think that this has a chance to be a pretty good series as well.
I don't think you're going to see a team kind of lose their edge in the second half like we saw with both the Knicks last night and the Thunder in almost all 4 of those games. Or, I'm sorry, the Timberwolves in all 4 of the Thunder's games, right? You saw both of those teams, Knicks and Timberwolves, kind of fall on their face when the lights got the brightest in the second half, and anytime there was a run, there was no chance at a comeback, which is weird because the Knicks were able to do that exact same thing with the Celtics, but you kind of felt like oh, we beat the Celtics, now we're good.
Right. It was the Pacers that were able to rumble back.
100%.
Game 1, the thing about them is they have magic. They got a little bit of a destiny feel to them. I'm not sure if I feel that with OKC. I'm not sure if that will be enough. And maybe we don't really have a sense. Pacers haven't seen a defense like this. Maybe they just get crumbled up, and that was it. And they get shut down. And then the series, if this is a 35-point victory in Game 1, this series is done. I think the Pacers are going to need to play well early to just show that they could belong. Denver did the same thing. Denver beat OKC in Game 1. That almost showed the rest of the NBA that OKC can bleed, that they're mortal. That is a dangerous and effective way to build some momentum and confidence, is stealing a game early or playing well early. You got to show that you can hang with them because it's easy to sort of roll over when things don't go your way. I would be a little nervous if the Pacers were to not steal anything. And OKC's been excellent in their building all year. So now it's going to be a tall task. Pacers can do it because they've done it everywhere, but that is not going to be easy early in that series.
Doesn't this playoffs kind of get a little bit of the feeling, and I hate to bring up another completely different sport, but the 2019 MLB playoffs, Astros, Nationals, it went 7, but you think about what those two teams went to get there. Astros were just the most dominant team in MLB, number 1 seed. The Nationals had one of the worst records in the middle of that season.
Well, they were 5-7 games under 500,
at the All-Star break or something like that. Went on an unbelievable tear. I'm not saying the Pacers were that bad, but the Pacers have I think they had the best record in the NBA the last 15 or 20 games of the season.
Well, yeah, and they started 9-14 on the season.
Yes.
25 games in, they were 9-14.
Nationals come into that postseason. They knock off the number 1 Dodgers. The Pacers knock off the number 1 Cleveland. And then you've got another miracle team on the other side, Nationals and Cardinals. Cardinals had all the momentum going into that series, too, because they had just beaten the Braves. Knicks beat the Celtics. All the momentum is kind of with the Cardinals at this point. And then the Nationals sweep them and go on to win the MLB playoff or MLB World Series against the unstoppable Astros.
Right.
This is, to me, getting that same exact feeling of you're looking at just an unbelievable team with the Thunder and almost the Cinderella story with the Pacers.
I mean, it's an interesting comparison, especially with that 2019 Washington Nationals team, because if you're thinking about it, they had Anthony Rendon, who Rendon was an unbelievable postseason player, and he has been nothing close to that ever since. He's never been healthy. He hasn't been able to hit as good. Sort of like lightning in a bottle with him. They had a 19-year-old Juan Soto come and burst onto the scene and tear up the MLB playoffs as a 19-year-old. So they had a little bit of mojo with him. They had Trey Turner, Strasburg, who was never healthy, and he was finally put together a healthy postseason. He was the best pitcher on that team in that postseason, and then you had Scherzer. So it's almost like right timing with them. And that's why they were never able to replicate it, number one, because they couldn't pay any of the guys they needed to pay. And number two, all the bodies of the guys started breaking down the second that happened. Rendon got like $300 million from the Angels, and then he shipped out of town. He's never been healthy since. And then Strasburg has never been healthy since. But a lot of it is timing. A lot of it is getting hot at the right time. Now, I don't know if the Thunder are better than what the Astros were, because are we trying to sell ourselves on a Chiefs beating the Eagles here? And I know the Chiefs were sort of the favorite, but everybody kind of knew that the Eagles were probably the better put-together team going into the Super Bowl this past year. Most of the expert opinions were on the Eagles. I was on the team of like, hey, it's the Chiefs. You can't count out the Chiefs. And then the game happens. You're like, wow, this is gonna be ugly. I'm nervous about it coming out to that. We spend if game 1 is Thursday, we spend the next 4 days
trying to convince ourselves
that they have a chance. And then game 1, when it's 117 to 84, we're gonna be looking back at it and be like, what were we thinking? I'm nervous about that. Kate Chums and Colin Russo, the NBA playoffs. We said it, the NBA Finals will be tipping off. That will be Thursday, June 5th, Game 1 in Oklahoma City. The NBA Finals take forever to get done because it's 3 days. But we also have the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
the
buddy.
Stanley Cup Finals, which starts on Wednesday, which also has a couple of multi-day rest periods comparatively to the rest of the playoffs. Starts in Edmonton. Panthers are going to have a lot of rest coming in. So are the Oilers. A rematch of last year. Kid, I haven't gotten your thoughts on this. Panthers have been to 3 straight Stanley Cups. They've won 1 of the 2. They have a chance to go 2 of 3. I think the Panthers are in an interesting spot here because they're flirting with a dynasty. I think if you go to 3 in a row and you win 2 of them, I think that is close to what a dynasty really is. For their multiple years at a time. You can't just assume that everybody's going to win 3 in a row. It's dime a dozen. But if they go 2 out of 3, I think that's a dynasty. Now, the flip side of it is if they go 1 of 3, no. 1 of 3, I think you're more forgotten about than you are remembered, which is why I think the Panthers have a lot riding on this. But to the flip side, they're playing an Oiler team that is as motivated as I've ever seen a team and as locked in as I've ever seen a team and probably have the better top-end talent than the Panthers. They're desperate to get this. Desperate. I'm nervous about this series, too, for Florida, because if I had to put money somewhere right now, I think I'm putting it in Edmonton.
I sadly would do the same.
Right.
I was saying this to some people in our office when the Panthers had sealed up their series and the Stars and Oilers were still going at it. Who would the Panthers want to see more? I said the Stars.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though the Stars had the better fiery offense, the Oilers have unbelievable defense. Oh, and then, by the way, they have Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
That's not a combo I want to see as a
Panthers
Panthers fan.
They have the 2 best players on the ice at any given time in Draisaitl and McDavid. And if not better, just as good as Bobrovsky as Stuart Skinner in goal.
Yes.
So he's either exactly the same as Bobrovsky, but the fact is that they have 2 or maybe 3 of the best players on the ice at any given time. That is dangerous.
Now, to be fair for the Panthers, they're playing their best hockey now. That Hurricane series was literally just a fun festival for them.
Yeah.
Rather than actually like good hockey.
Right.
So they're at their hottest time. But then I would also say the Oilers are playing their hottest game right now, too. We expected Oilers stars to go deep.
The Stars are better than any team. They're better than Toronto. They're better than Tampa Bay. They're better than any team Florida's seen in the Eastern Conference to this point. And Edmonton, kicked their ass.
Yeah.
So because of that, I would be a little nervous. And the fact that they got so close last year to making some unbelievable comeback, they have a lot more to bulletin board to be angry about.
You saw Connor McDavid in the locker room last year.
McDavid needs the big one because he is an all-time great, and he is trying to have his Gretzky moment in '84. He's trying to have that.
Now, to be fair, Gretzky lost his first one, too.
True. He lost to the Islanders, but then he beat them next year.
Exactly.
So
it's panning out the exact same way.
Right. And that was an Islanders team that won 19 straight playoff series. 19 straight. A record to today in terms of team sports. They won 19 straight, and then they lost to Edmonton and Gretzky. And then Gretzky won 5 in 7 years or whatever it was. McDavid's trying to have that moment. I'm not saying McDavid's Gretzky, but he's an all-time great. All-time greats need to have moments like this. He's got a lot to gain, and that team has a lot to gain on top of the fact that Canada hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 1994. I would be a little nervous. You got Edmonton playing with house money here. They got everything to play for. I'm not saying the Panthers don't, but if there's a 7-game series, it might be this one.
It might be this one. And I'm going to go back to what you initially asked me at the first part of this conversation about the dynasty aspect. I actually have a third idea about this.
Okay.
I don't think 3 years, no matter if you win 3 straight, is worthy of a dynasty.
You don't think a three-peat in teams, let's say you win three in a row.
Yeah.
You don't think why not?
I don't think that's long enough to be considered a dynasty.
What is the criteria?
I think you got to be probably north of 5.
5 years of what?
5 years of being one of the best teams in the league, whether it's making a conference championship or making
You
the
can't win 5 in a
championship.
row. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But so you're saying being in the mix for a 5-year period and winning a couple. A couple.
Yes.
More than one.
If you're 3, so the Panthers, you could kind of see them coming, but it was really 3 years ago that they kind of just burst onto the scene. What were they, the last ranked team in the conference and then made a championship run?
Right.
That's unbelievable.
When they got Maurice, then the 3 years, then they just kind of exploded.
So if they win or lose this year, and then we don't, let's just say they lose players or something happens and they kind of just lose in the first or second round next year, and then maybe the year after that they kind of pitter off after that, then those 3 years of magic I don't consider to be a dynasty because you didn't do anything after that. Dynasties last. Dynasties are not quick magical runs.
Quick is a word. For 3 years, quick is a word. Dominating the Eastern Conference. That is a word. No, I don't know. I wouldn't know if I quantify this as quick. This has been 3 years now where they have been the best team in the Eastern Conference in a big spot. Now, also the book
but is that considered a dynasty?
Yeah,
though?
but the book is not finished. Let's keep that in mind too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I'm not using the word dynasty now, is my point. Dynasty, let's talk about it in another 3 years.
Right.
Have we been living in a dynasty? Because
if you win 2 out of 3, though, I think it's pretty clear that unless they had some dramatic fall off, it's pretty clear that you're in the middle of it.
Had Brady not won again after his 3rd Super Bowl, would you have considered the Patriots a dynasty?
The thing is, his 3rd Super Bowl was his 3rd in 4 years. Is that not a dynasty?
No, that's my point.
I would argue against that because I think Brady was a part of 2 dynasties. I think he was a part of the dynasty at the beginning of his career, and I think he was the part of the dynasty at the end of his career. Because once they lost in, 2008, they sort of had that reset period, and then they lost again in 2012. And then after that, it wasn't until, that Seahawks Super Bowl?
That they won again.
Won again. That's when it sort of started again. they had great teams, but they never got it done. It's sort of the forgotten about in-between period of the New England Patriots. And then once they got back to it in New England, then they won like every other year for like a 6-year period.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second dynasty. Yes, the Patriots dynasty is a 25-year period. That is an irreplicable formula. That is never going to happen. That type of dominance is probably never going to happen again. But the way I look at it is I would argue that Brady was a part of two dynasties. The one at the beginning of his career and the one at the end. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am throwing the word around a little too loosely. But I think 4 years of dominance in a team sport is very difficult. I think 3 years is also extremely difficult. And this is dominance we're talking about. This is not just being good. This is dominance.
Can I ask you a question then? Why don't we talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning like this?
See, the Blackhawks won 3 in 6 years. That's a dynasty, probably.
Yep.
That's a dynasty.
Fair enough.
The San Francisco Giants from 2010 to 2014, is that a dynasty? 3 in 6 years, every other year. No lost World Series. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, I would probably say so. Close to it.
It's close.
What did they do in between that?
They lost in the play. They missed the postseason 1 year, and then they made the playoffs the other 2 years and lost before they got to the World Series.
Okay, so to me, it's like I would love to see what those teams were like. Now,
Yeah.
I wasn't locked into baseball at that time.
I'd have to go back and look.
I'm not the best expert for that.
Point is, they won 3 in 6 years. Probably, I would say 3 and 5 years, essentially.
Yeah.
But I would say probably. Maybe we're throwing the term around a little loosely there. But I think hockey is very hard to find repeat champions, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, consistent players because hockey is good because they got great parity. Teams change around pretty quickly. I think that 3 years of dominance like this, it's magic. It's not seen every day. I'd say it's closer to a dynasty than it isn't. Maybe it's not there yet, but I think this series will determine a lot. If they beat Edmonton twice and they get to, and listen, they got killed against the Golden Knights. What was that, 2 years ago? They got killed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they were in the series and they lost at 7. Here's an example. Or the Houston Rockets in the mid-90s. 2 years. They never got back to an NBA Finals.
No,
they never played Jordan. That's probably not a dynasty. Probably right.
But do you consider? Okay, so here's another question: did Jordan have 2 dynasties, or is his 8-year run the dynasty?
You can make an argument for both because he literally walked away from basketball. He literally retired. So
if he had been in the league and lost those 2, it
that's
probably
one
would have been
Bulls
the 8
dynasty
period.
because it's 1 decade. I understand what you're saying. That Patriot one, we're talking about 2004 versus 2017.
Yeah.
It was such a prolonged period of time on either side. It's interesting. You'd have to make because the thing is, not a lot changed about those teams. Those Patriot teams were different. They had a lot of new faces
100%.
other than Belichick and Brady.
Yes.
This is even coordinators.
Yep.
Everything was different other than Belichick and Brady. The Bulls was the exact same thing other than, they took out Horace Grant. They put in Dennis Rodman. They got rid of John Paxton. They input Steve Kerr. So, there's minor changes, but Scotty was there. Phil Jackson was there. Michael was there. I think that's enough to say that's one dynasty, but there's something to that.
And the reason I would say that the Patriots is one dynasty, not 2 dynasties, even though their championships were capped off at the ends of Brady's career, they still made 2 Super Bowls in between that time. They were still making AFC championships. What did they win? Their division 14 years in a row?
Yep.
That, to me, is still part of your one dynasty, whether or not you're in championships or not.
True. All right. Yeah, so there's an argument to that.
I would agree with you that we are in a Panthers dynasty, but I need you to ask me the question again in 2 or 3 years.
Fair enough. Kate Chums and Colin Russo. Lots to talk about, including a potential shift in the college football playoff formula. I guess people are now floating for 16 teams, and instead they would keep the 5 top-rated conference champions. And then there's a couple different caveats that different conferences want. We'll break that down, including a couple automatic bids, which I'm not necessarily sure I'm happy about. But we'll talk about that on the flip side. It's Sunday Huddle, presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 1063.
It's the Hard Rock Bet Battle of the Bets. 2 bets facing off. Winning side splits $250K in bonus bets every single day. Time to pick a side. Team underdogs or team favorites. Team over or team under. There's one way to settle this. Hard Rock Bet Battle of the Bets. Pick a side for $1. Win your share of $250K or more today. Prize pool to be paid out in bonus bets, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hey, Steph Prince here, General Manager of ESPN West Palm, to tell you about a team that has meant a lot to me and this community for a long time. Bob and the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning have been helping me stay cool for years, whether at home or in the office. And living in South Florida with 3 kids, I don't know what I'd do without them. Family owned and operated, serving Royal Palm Beach and beyond since 1980. Let the knowledgeable and trained team at Bradley help you with your residential and commercial needs, installation, repair, seasonal maintenance, upgrades of all makes and styles and models of HVAC equipment, and so much more. Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning does things right the first time and makes the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps you cool. Give them a call at 561-793-7497. That's 561-793-7497 or BradleyAir.com. Any need, big or small, trust the amazing team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning.
As market dynamics change, the quality and service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Partner-owned since 1923, Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver value where others can't. Visit ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
Attention business owners, the next several months are going to be super busy. Why not let us take some of the burden off of you? Get the help you need from Intelligent Office in Palm Beach Gardens. Professional live receptionists to answer, screen, and forward all of your calls to you live. Why do you need a virtual assistant? No high salaries, no holidays or sick pay, no call-outs, no turnover, and no additional equipment. Call 561-472-8400 or visit intelligentoffice.com to learn more how we can help you streamline your day.
Duffy's Sports Grill is raising a glass to the class of 2025. Every graduation deserves a party, and Duffy's is the place to celebrate. Reserve your spot now and let Duffy's handle it all. With private party spaces, party platters, and custom menus for groups of 12 or more. Plus, now through June 15th, get a $10 MVP bonus for every $50 in gift cards you grab. Level up your graduation at Duffy's. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to book your party today. Duffy's, our game is always on.
This is the Inter Miami save of the game.
Inter Miami stonewalled their opponent tonight. Heading into tonight's game, the Herons surrendered 3 goals, 2 out of their last 3 games. Well, tonight, 2 goalkeepers and only 1 goal surrendered. And the goal came off of a corner kick, was barely the defense's fault. Great defense by the Herons tonight.
Brought to you by PNC Bank. PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865.
The school district of Palm Beach County is your best choice.
It's time to step into kindergarten. Parents, the school district of Palm Beach County is now enrolling kindergarten students. All incoming students receive a free kindergarten readiness kit to help practice reading and math this summer. Register now at palmbeachschools.org/kindergarten. That's palmbeachschools.org/kindergarten.
Roadrunner. This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
Well, it's been a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall, an accident of any kind. My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys are the type to fight for you. I know with Anajar and Levine, they got my back no matter what, and they can get yours too. They don't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Don't settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine today, because that's the Anajar and Levine difference. All it takes is one phone call. Take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation today. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. Colin Russo, Kate Chumsden with you on your radio dial at ESPN 1063. Also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter /X at ESPN West Palm. It's Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet. Heather Dinich of ESPN said that there's a new model for the college football playoff that is, quote, gaining traction as all the leaders are starting to meet and decide how they want to do this, if they want to expand. And what it would be a 16-team college football playoff. That is the bottom line. I think that is without a doubt, lock it in. That is where this is heading. 16 teams being in that tournament. And the obvious way to do it would be the top 5 conference champions like usual, and then, quote, 11 at-large teams. Now, in the article, which is on ESPN.com, Dinich goes on to say that Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, and Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, both are in favor of creating some sort of caveat to allow for automatic bids for Big Ten and SEC schools. In the realm of 4 apiece is the number that's being thrown around. So that would be 4 automatic qualifying teams from the SEC and 4 from the Big Ten, and then you got your conference champions. So what we're really looking at is the 5 conference champions, then 6 other teams that are locked in from 2 conferences, and then you got 5 remaining at large. Sounds like all these different rules and you're just going to keep running into problems because you're going to have years where the Big Ten is maybe not that great, or the Big 12 is having a huge year, or the ACC is having a huge year, and that's going to happen. People are acting like that's never going to happen again. That's going to happen. Or the SEC, they got 2 good teams, and the rest of them kind of stink. This is not that out of the stretch of reality. And then all of a sudden, we got to throw a pity bid to Iowa, who's 7-5 in the Big Ten or 8-4 in the Big Ten, and then we're just going to call it quits. I don't like the idea of these conferences getting the automatic bids, but the SEC is definitely the spearhead behind that because of what happened to Alabama, what happened to South Carolina, and what happened to Ole Miss last year in favor of SMU, and so on. So I don't know if this is the right way to do it. I don't even know if an expansion is the right way to do it, but it sounds like this is where it's going. And I'd have a hard time not seeing this specific model being cleared. If I had to guess today, I would say 2026, whenever it would be in full change. It's going to be a 16-team playoff. You're going to see 4 guaranteed SEC schools, 4 guaranteed Big Ten schools, 5 conference champions, and then the remaining, what would that be? The remaining 5 at-large teams. That's what I think you're going to see.
I am so on the fence about this because part of me wants all of the more competitive teams in a tournament. But the other part of me said, I didn't really want more teams in last year's playoffs.
Are there, that's the question. Ask the question about the actual thought is, are there competitive teams to be added? Are there enough competitive teams that would improve the quality of what we're watching? The answer is no. The answer is the same answer that it has been for 15 years in college football. There are 3, maybe less, great teams a year, and everybody else is kind of just scrapping for the rest of it.
I would say maybe a little bit more. My ideal playoff is 8.
They're never going to do it. You're going to either stay at 12 or go to 16. I agree with you.
I understand.
Think 8 makes a lot of sense, but yeah.
Which is why I didn't mind 12, because you get probably your 8 really good ones, and then a few others from other conferences that you'd love to make Cinderella runs. Like last year's Texas versus Arizona State. Had Arizona State won that game, it would have been the best moment in college football the entire year. Would you agree? Or it's
as close as it gets. Yeah.
It was what people were looking for.
They had them on a 4th and 11, up 8, in overtime. So
I think people are still grasping for that type of March Madness-esque in college football. But the problem is, it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Unless it's like once in a crazy blue moon.
It's not worth the crazy expansion because college basketball, there's almost, other than this year's an outlier, there's almost a guarantee of something like that. There's almost a guarantee of a run because those teams are closer in talent discrepancy and coaching ability than I think more people are led on to believe. Football, there was a huge disparity in coaching, resources, and players. Off of that, it's too hard to win a game when you're not as good as the other team. It's too hard. It's too hard to catch a team sleeping.
And the game is just played differently, right? Like basketball, you can get on a run. You can get some momentum. It's
40 minutes
faster.
40 minutes, yeah.
Football, there's so much time. The game is played so differently. There's so many better players on the field.
It's bigger players. It's size. It's like everybody says this about college basketball. And my brother's college basketball coach says the same thing. He goes, throughout Division I, guard play is remarkably similar every level you go to in Division I. It's the bigs that make a true difference between the top teams or the size and the bottom teams in a lot of cases. Because bigs, if you're a great big man, you're going to get picked up by a top school. If you're a great guard, you could still fly under the radar. Think about all the great players in the college basketball this past year. They were all transfers from small schools.
Yep.
So that's how that does not happen in football. That rarely happens in football.
No, if you're transferring, you're trying to transfer to a bigger school when you were already at a big school.
Yeah, they rarely get the Kennesaw State transfer who's going to be a big-time player and be one of the – that happens in college basketball every year. It doesn't happen in football. There's too much of a disparity between the great team and the so-so team for this to be worth it.
So Mike Rizzo and I on Saturday Tailgate were talking about this, and we both came to the conclusion that this is more about a money grab than it is about competitive football.
When in doubt, the answer is money. When in doubt, because 12 team doesn't even do competitive football. When in doubt, the answer is money.
So now they're just going to try to put more games into the playoffs to make bigger money. That's basically what they're trying to do.
Yes, and they're going to continue doing that and this hurts bowl season, but they're going to continue doing that until it operates against them, until it splashes back in their face. And it's not going to do that at 16. 24 is next. Then all of a sudden you're going to have a 32-team tournament. It's going to take a month and a half.
Now, here's my other problem with the 16-team playoff. Now, the one thing that the article does not explain is what happens with buys. Is it just one play 16 and you each play 4 games? Or is there going to be some type of buy? Because it's kind of tough in a 16-team playoff system to implement some buys. Right. If there's no buys in this system, I think teams are going to be less interested in competing in the regular season because they know they're just going to be in the tournament. And when you're the best, if you're one of 16, you are okay with an 8 seed. You're okay with a 10 seed almost at that point.
I think that would mean no buys. I think that would mean no buys.
But if there's buys, doesn't that give teams an incentive to make that top 4 to guarantee yourself in the next spot?
Unless it's about home games. See, this is where it hurts. You're right. So this is a very common qualm with it, is how do you keep the team that is, 11-0 at the end of the year motivated to play hard, not only in their conference championship game, but to play hard in their last game of the year when they have a game to lose and they're still in. It's sort of, basketball can deal with this sometimes too. How do you convince the Georgias of the world to play hard in an SEC championship game against LSU where Georgia's already locked in? Georgia's getting a home game, win or lose. It doesn't necessarily matter if they're a 1 seed or the 3 seed. They're still getting a home game. How do you motivate them in that sense? That's where you run into problems because you are protecting the teams at the top, which is maybe what you should do in some capacity, but then you hurt the end of the regular season. Now the interesting game is not between the AP top 5 teams. It's between AP 16 versus AP 17. That's the interesting game, which is fine, but that's not good for what I think people like about college football because the top team doesn't need to be great right now. So I agree. Yeah, how do you incentivize it other than buy? The only way to do it, in my opinion, would be home games. And if you're going to do a 16-team playoff, that first round will probably be campus home games, so that will matter. What do you do with that second round? Is that second round
more neutral bowl games?
Is that neutral bowl games? My guess would be yes.
But then you're going to have to do how many? You would have to do...
So that would be 4, 2, and then 1.
So you'd have to make 7 instead of... You have to add 1 because there's 6 currently.
Yes, yeah, which is doable. That's probably what they would do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Boca Bowl? Can we just add that in there?
Yeah, Boca Bowl as a
college football second
quarterfinal,
round.
a quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal game. I'm here for it.
All right. We could do that. I'll sign up for that. But how do you incentivize these top teams? all of a sudden you get 3 undefeated teams who are all going to be locked in. It's not the most important. It's going to be neutral site when these teams play each other
and
anyway.
if they're all getting home field advantage, then what's the point of crying about a higher seed?
Do they need a conference championship? The answer is probably no. I mean, is it that important?
College football, I think it's different. College football, those guys love their SEC championships and their Big Ten championships.
Maybe. You're right. Maybe I'm wrong. But you want to keep these guys motivated. Don't let the season end 10 games into the year. NFL's trying to crack this with Week 18 with the teams that are locked in and why, teams that could bench players and the Kansas City Chiefs, not playing players in the last week. That's just going to be something they deal with that playoff format and when you have stuff locked in. College football is probably trying to avoid that a little bit because that conference championship week is a huge week. Week 18 is not a huge week. Conference championship week is a huge week for college football. And all of a sudden, if you got, undefeated Oregon going against a 2-loss Michigan and then an undefeated Georgia going against a 2-loss LSU, does Georgia still get the higher seed, win or lose? The answer is probably yes. And the same thing goes with Oregon. They're honestly probably more at an advantage to not play them hard because if they played them hard and lost, maybe the committee would throw them a bone and lower their seed. Does that make sense? I'm just...
No, you're fine.
Thinking out loud here, but nothing's going to be perfect. You're always going to have problems.
Yep.
If you're going to fix it, keep it at 12. Fix the seeding.
Which they did. That change has already been made.
So,
why do we need to change again? We already made the correct change.
You're not going to shrink it. I would like them to shrink it. They're not going to do that. But make it home games the first round and give the right teams the buys. Then we'll see from there.
I was about to say, why don't we do a test run of the new rule for a year? And
that's what they're going to do.
Still glaring problems, make it 16 later if we have to.
That's what this year is confirmed going to be 12 with reseeding.
Okay.
2026, I believe, would be the test run for 16. It might be 2027, but they operate quickly. If they like it, they're going to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I am not in favor of this, but the one thing I think is a good thing is I don't like teams getting buys. I don't think teams need buys.
Oh, okay.
I think you should play every game. I'm okay with that.
My only thing to buys, I don't think it would matter if they have to play every game. I feel like that's an incentive to play the championship round.
Maybe. If that's the one thing about it. I would rather them play the game. I'd rather them play the game, but then you'd have to go through a bunch of logistics trying to get out of 16 teams where you're going to give 2 buys here, then all of a sudden you got 14 teams playing, that's 7 moving on.
Well, it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So it's tricky. There's not a lot you could figure out, but remains to be seen. Who knows? That's Kate Chumson, Colin Russo here. We'll do a little Blitz the Book. We got a lot to choose from today because we got a little French Open. We got a little college baseball. We got a little MLB. And we'll take our series picks, maybe a couple futures for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup. We'll do that on the flip side of things as we send you off into our last segment. Coming up next, Blitz the Book with Hard Rock Bet. We're taking a time out here on ESPN 106.3.
Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
It's the Hard Rock Bet Battle of the Bets. 2 bets facing off. Winning side splits $250K in bonus bets every single day. Time to pick a side. Team underdogs or team favorites. Team over or team under. There's one way to settle this. Hard Rock Bet Battle of the Bets. Pick a side for $1. Win your share of $250K or more today. Prize pool to be paid out in bonus bets, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
So, Good Morning America does a story on Bill Belichick. Awesome. National TV. Big spotlight.
Good morning, George. People who aren't even into football are wondering what's going on.
And when they need a clip from the Disney ESPN family, they pick Theoretically Speaking with Theo and C-Cat.
Jordan is on the field. It's her world, and Bill is just living in it.
Theo and C-Cat? Are you kidding me? We host a national show. I've worshipped Belichick for 2 decades, and they use C-Cat? Congrats, guys. On Sportsmanlike Mornings, Theoretically Speaking, weekdays at 2. Great.
In South Florida, when it's time to get back in the game, there's a name you need to know. HSS Florida. HSS ranked #1 in orthopedics for 15 years in a row by U.S. News and World Report. HSS brings world-class care to Palm Beach and Wellington. Whether it's a joint replacement, sports injury, or orthopedic trauma, HSS Florida treats athletes of all ages. Visit hss.edu/Florida to schedule your consultation today. HSS Florida, where champions and everyday people alike get the care they need to stay at the top of their game.
Get this. Joey and me were supposed to go to this concert next week, right? But then something terrible happened. Joey was driving without a seatbelt. But he didn't wreck. No, he got pulled over. Now Joey has to pay for a seatbelt ticket instead of a concert ticket, and I have to go by myself. How lame is that? So Joey, if you're out there, you're an idiot. Wear your seatbelt or you'll get a ticket.
All across the country, cops are cracking down. Click it or ticket, day and night.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
The playoffs are heating up, but your home shouldn't. Stay cool with EDS Air Conditioning. Right now, qualified customers can take advantage of 0% interest for 60 months on a brand new AC. Hot streaks belong in sports, not in your home. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, EDS is the name you can trust since 2006. Visit EDSIsYes.com today. Game day comfort starts now. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Major League Baseball coverage on ESPN 106.3 is proudly presented by the FIFA Club World Cup 2025, bringing you the best of the diamond and the pitch. This summer, the world's game comes to Miami. The FIFA Club World Cup 2025 is taking over Hard Rock Stadium for a global soccer showdown. The biggest clubs on the planet, the brightest stars, one champion. Don't just watch history being made, be there. Tickets are now available at FIFA.com/tickets. Get them before they're gone.
F45 Training in downtown West Palm and Wellington offers functional group fitness classes reimagined. F45 features high-intensity group-style workouts that are fast, fun, and results-driven. They always have the right workout for you. The best part is, it takes just 45 minutes. If you're looking to train for something like High Rocks, F45 has you covered with tailored workouts. Get started today with a promo of your first 3 classes for just $30. Visit F45training.com to find a studio near you and officially join the F45 family. F45, team training, life-changing.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Buffoon, Orbit Topper, 19 Uber, Jailbreak, Ralph Chowder.
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
Sunday Huddle, presented by Hard Rock Bet. We're on ESPN 106.3, also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. It's Colin Russo with Cade Chumsland. Hard Rock Bet. Go download the app today, and you can make a couple picks, make a couple future picks. You get the WNBA season in full action. You get the Major League Baseball, thick of the regular season right now as we enter into June, the first day of June 2025, by the way. And you got the NBA Finals, and you got the Stanley Cup Finals coming up later this week. Go put some action on it on the Hard Rock Bet app. You can put as little as $1. Put together a huge parlay. Make it fun. Increase your odds. Check out the Discover page. Check out promo boosts, profit boosts, promos, games, battle of the bets. They got it on the Hard Rock Bet app. Try it now. Get up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit, which that first bet can be a parlay, a prop, the over. They have it. Use it. It's on the Hard Rock Bet app. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager terms, conditions apply. Considered by gambling. Call 1-888. Admit it. All right, Kate, it's time for us to make a couple picks here. We can get creative here because there's a lot to choose from. Let's split the book, presented by Hard Rock Bet. Blitz the Book, presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3. We're going to put together our picks for the week, and we're going to include the series-long picks, or you can do game if you want, for the Panthers series against the Edmonton Oilers and the Indiana Pacers series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's start with Indiana and OKC, Cade. And I'm looking at a couple of them, and I'm looking at a lot of the single-game ones. The Thunder are favored by 10 points in Game 1.
Unreal. Can you blame them, though?
I guess not, but, that's not fun. That's not fun.
No, of course not.
That's not any fun. All right. Is anything screaming to you about taking this series so far?
Yeah, I think this is going to go deep, and I can go for over 5.5 games at plus 110. So that's going to be some plus money right there for me. So I will go deep in this series, over 5.5 games at plus 110.
Yeah, I think that the thing is, the fact that that's plus money for it to be anything more than a 5-game series is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because a 5-game series is a bad series. So all the odds are on this being a lackluster, not fun series.
Pretty much.
Minus 135 to go under 5.5. I don't like that at all. All right, you could actually bet on teams winning and the game-to-game. Thunder winning in 6 is plus 450. Thunder winning in 7 is plus 500. How about the Pacers winning in 7? Plus 1,500. Woo! I feel like that's a good value pick.
That's a great value pick.
I'm going to take that one.
Oh, wow.
Pacers to win in 7. 4-3.
I'm here for it.
Plus 1,500. That's too good to pass up. And then I'm going to be like, was it too good to pass up on Friday morning when, 138 to 101? Then we're going to have to change our mind.
You'll learn about that pick very quickly.
Yeah, you'll know in game 1 or 2 if what this team's about. All right, Panthers, Oilers. Let's move to that. Kate, you got anything interesting for me?
These two teams are minus 110 apiece for winning the series. You can't go either way. Now, I do think there is a narrative to how this series is going to go. The Oilers, like you said, they have everything to play for. They have a chip on their shoulder. I think they come out on their home stadium. This is flipped from last year. Florida had the home field advantage last time. This time it's with the Oilers. I think they come out on their own ice and lose their minds. I'm going to go game 1 for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Oilers minus 1.5. I can get that at plus 175. Now, I haven't seen the lines for game 2, but I expect Florida to bounce back a little bit after getting shut up in the first game. You might want to take the Florida Panthers minus 1.5 in game 2. But for right now, what we got on Hard Rock Bet is plus 175 for the Oilers, minus 1.5 in game 1.
So here's what I'm looking at. For the series to end in 6 games or 7 games to both the same odds, it's plus 200. I don't think that's that great of odds. But if I get the correct series score, I'm into this correct series score. The Edmonton Oilers to win in 7, and I'm not going to choose 6. Yeah, I don't think they're going to win in Florida in game 6. In game 7, though, it's plus 450.
What is it in 5?
Edmonton in 5?
Yeah.
Edmonton winning in 5 is plus 600.
If I'm choosing a series score, I'm taking that one. I think Edmonton is going to go crazy in this series.
I could see it. I don't like rooting for that, though.
No, of course not.
Called an emotional bet for me.
Of course not.
I'm taking the Edmonton Oilers 4-3 to win in 7, plus 450. This is going to be quite a parlay that I already have.
Yeah.
All right, Cade, let's shift a little bit. You got a college baseball one for me.
I do. I am originally from the northern Orlando area. The closest big-time college team besides UCF would be the Stetson Mad Hatters, who have an elimination game against NC State today. Mad Hatters, they had a tough loss to Auburn yesterday. They made it a decent game, but Auburn kind of pulled out at the end. But in elimination, Stetson, known for some big-time college recruits. Jason DeGrom is a Stetson man. I think they have it today. I'm going for my home team, plus 165 outright in beating NC State in an elimination game.
Wow, okay. Those are your guys now?
Yeah, when college baseball comes around, that's the biggest team near me.
Fair enough. All right, here's an interesting one. Wright State is playing Vanderbilt. Why does that matter? Wright State had Vanderbilt on the ropes. What is it, 4 days ago? And it was a great game, but Wright State got a lot of flack because they had a guy no-hitting the Vanderbilt, and they pulled him after 6 innings. He was at like 80-something pitches. He totally could have went further, But with college baseball, you have these rules, amount of pitches, amount of off days. I think they're trying to be strategic there. They bring in the reliever, and then all of a sudden, Vanderbilt starts going to town. I don't love that, but I'd like the idea of runs being scored today. It's an elimination game. It's at 3 p.m. Vanderbilt and Wright State. 13.5 is the run number, which is a lot. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot. But I'm into it. Let's take Vanderbilt, and because I don't know who's going to take this game, but I do think we're going to see some runs. Because of that, Vanderbilt, Wright State, 3 p.m. That's on ESPN 2. I am going to take over 13.5. It's plus 100, so that's actually pretty good odds. Over 13.5 total runs scored. Total. So that's between both of them. I just double-checked that. So we're good. Vanderbilt, Wright State, I need some runs scored today. That's what I'm going to do. All right, let's do one more. And I'm going to give you an option here. French Open or PGA? You want to do one?
French Open.
I want to do Francis Tiafoe to beat Daniel Altmaier today. I want the American. I was going to do Ben Shelton plus 1,000, but I'm like, I have enough plus 1,000 odds.
I will take...
Holger Rune is good odds, too, against Lorenzo Musetti.
Give me Jack Draper.
Draper?
Over Alexander Bublik.
Nice. Kate Chumson, Colin Russo saying, so long. Sunday Huddle, presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
The preceding program was paid for in full by Hard Rock Bet. Advice and opinions expressed during this program were solely those of the guests or hosts of this program and not of ESPN 106.3 or Good Karma Brands.
It's the Hard Rock Bet Battle of the Bets. Two bets facing off. Winning side splits $250K in bonus bets every single day. Time to pick a side. Team underdogs or team favorites. Team over